As soon as cameras were invented, they revolutionized the world in how experiences were captured by the average person. Instead of having to rely on memories, people were now able to snap a picture to look back on later and reminisce about the good times they've had. With cell phones and portable cameras being so prevalent, however, it was only a matter of time before some odd things began to be captured by them. You wouldn't believe how many strange, unexplained pictures have been captured in the modern age. Here are 15 unexplained mysteries caught on camera. Number 15. Hook Island Sea Monster. The Hook Island sea monster is the colloquial name given to the large black creature spotted off of Hook Island by Robert Le Sirac and his family in 1964. He was able to capture a picture of it, which we're seeing on the screen now. He explains that it moved towards his ship with its mouth open as if it were planning on attacking. He claims that its tail was injured, likely by a ship's propeller or by a larger creature. Robert has stated, quote, "It was only when we got within 20 feet of the serpent that we could see its head clearly. The head was large, about 4 feet from top to bottom, with jaws about 4 feet wide. The lower jaw was flat like that of a sandfish. The skin was smooth but rather dull, brownish-black in color. The eyes seemed pale green, almost white. The skin looked more like that of a shark than an eel. There were no apparent scales, nor did we see any parasites around." That certainly sounds rather terrifying, though there has been some speculation that this was created by Robert to garner fame. The photograph, however, seemed to be genuine, and there wasn't an easy method of doctoring them back then. That lends to a bit more credence to his story. Number 14. SOLWAY FIRTH Spaceman. The SOLWAY FIRTH Spaceman, also known as the Solway Spaceman or the Cumberland Spaceman, is a figure that is seen in a photograph taken on May 23, 1964, by Jim Templeton. Jim was a firefighter, photographer, and local historian and took the photograph of his 5-year-old daughter while on a trip to Burgh Marsh. This photo is situated near Burgh by Sands, overlooking the Solway Firth in Cumbria, England.
Ministry. Strangely, nothing else really came of that. The case was never solved.
The photograph shows a background figure wearing a spacesuit and insists that there was nobody else behind his daughter or with them at all that day. Some believe that this figure could have been the photographer's wife standing with her back to the camera, though that doesn't hold much credence. His wife was wearing a blue dress that day, and he is adamant that she wasn't in the shot. Templeton was adamant that the figure was not his wife until the day he died in 2011, and it frustrated him that so few people would believe him. Even to this day, the most well-accepted theory is that the Solway Firth Spaceman was his wife. Before we go on, do like this video, smash that subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or the centipede will crawl on your face while you're sleeping. It's time for today's subscriber pick. This odd photograph was taken by a trail camera set up in the woods of eastern Russia. The head looks like some sort of skull with horns, and it's unlikely that this is a hoax because the trail camera was set up somewhere very remote where practically nobody lives. All it was meant for was searching for game. It's hard to tell if the creature is wearing clothes or that it's simply what its body looks like. It also appears to be holding something, but it's difficult to make out what it is. Could this be a child of some sort? What would a beast like this be doing with a child? That leads to the question, what is this creature that seems to be walking down into a lake? Why does its head look skeletal? Could it be some sort of demon? Remember to comment down below with the hashtag subscriberpick and let us know what you think. Now on to the next topic. Number 13. Falcon Lake Incident. The Falcon Lake incident was an alleged UFO sighting that occurred on May 20th, 1967 at Falcon Lake, which is within Whiteshell Provincial Park in the Canadian province of Manitoba. The incident has been investigated by various Canadian authorities as well as UFO enthusiast groups, and even many American authorities helped out with the situation to try to understand what they had seen. The incident has been dubbed Canada's best documented UFO case, and some believe it's the best documented case in the entire world.
Which was later found here by the authorities. And
according to the man who witnessed the event, named Steve McCallick, he looked up towards the sky to see two cigar-shaped objects hovering about 45 meters away from him and emitting a reddish glow. He initially assumed they were experimental American aircraft, and one of the objects landed on a nearby rocky platform before taking on a disc shape. He took the time to sketch the object for half an hour before attempting to approach, and he noticed that there were no seams. The surface was just completely smooth. Steve says he was able to look inside the aircraft but was blasted by a ray of fire that blew him backwards before it took off into the night. Number 12. Florida skunk ape. The Florida skunk ape, also known as the swamp ape or the Florida Bigfoot, is a large ape-like creature that is said to inhabit the forests and swamps of some southeast states, with the most prolific being Florida. The skunk ape is often said to be a cousin of Bigfoot, considering the two of them are said to look remarkably similar and stand in a similar way.
We have it posted for you right there on our homepage.
These are also likely closely related to the Yeti of the Himalayas, though there is less of a connection between those because of how far apart they are. The skunk ape has been reported ever since European settlers first occupied the region. In 1818, local newspapers reported a story of a man-sized monkey in Florida that raided food stores and stalked fishermen along the shore. There are also aspects of indigenous cultures within the region that subscribe a foul-smelling, physically powerful, secretive creature called the Esti Kepkaki, which is likely just another name for the skunk ape. Number 11. White Lady of WORSTEAD Church. Within the small village of WORSTEAD, there are many tales surrounding a particular ghost. The ghost is of the White Lady, and depending on which version you believe, she either has the ability to scare a person to death or to provide cool healing abilities. The first reported story regards the first version of her and dates back to the 1830s. A man was drinking with his friends in nearby King's Arms, and he said that he wasn't afraid of the White Lady and that he would visit the church at midnight to prove it. He also said he would attempt to kiss her. His friends eventually found him collapsed on the floor, and with his last breath, he was able to say, "I've seen her," before he died. Another story surrounds a woman who actually captured a picture of the White Lady, which can be seen on the screen. This version of her, however, seemed to have healing properties, and the woman claimed that she had been cured of her illness after seeing her. So which version do you believe is true? Both are haunting, but a kind ghost is definitely more fun than a malevolent one. Number 10. SS Watertown Haunting. The SS Watertown was a United States ship that is said to have provided one of the most convincing ghost photographs ever taken and is a classic example of what many believe to be an authentic haunting. As the story goes, as the ship was making its way through the Pacific Ocean in December of 1924, seamen James Courtney and Michael Meehan were assigned to clean out a cargo tank. While cleaning out this tank, they were overcome by gas fumes and died before help could reach them. Their bodies were committed to
see if he'll talk with us or respond to us in any way.
The ocean on December 4th. The following day, just before dusk, the entire ship went into an uproar when the heads of two dead seamen were clearly seen on board the ship and later observed in the waters of the sea. After this, the ghostly faces were seen frequently and a snapshot was taken with a camera. Upon reaching port, they sent the film off to be developed, and within it was the picture that you're seeing on screen. Definitely a creepy report, and hopefully those two ghosts are resting easy now. Number 9. Grand Canyon Grim Reaper. The Grand Canyon is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world, and for good reason. The site is absolutely majestic, but that also leads to it being incredibly dangerous. Many people attempt stupid stunts near the edge, and because of this, it would make sense that the Grim Reaper would be nearby and waiting. One man revealed that a photograph his uncle took sometime in the 1980s may showcase just that fact, as there is a figure hiding in the trees that definitely wasn't there when the photograph was taken. The figure is pale, incredibly tall, and extremely creepy, wrapped up in a dark robe and keeping a close eye on the tourist perched near the edge of the canyon. The person who posted the photo is adamant that they were the only tourists in that part of the canyon at the time and that they had no idea what this figure was or why it was there. This has led to several debates over whether the Grim Reaper is real and whether he can be caught on camera. Either way, no matter what this figure is, it's still incredibly creepy, and it wasn't seen until the photographs were developed. Number 8. Hessdalen Lights. The Hessdalen Lights are an interesting unexplained phenomenon that were observed in a 12-kilometer-long stretch of the Hessdalen Valley in rural central Norway. They are of unknown origin and seem to appear by both day and night, and they float through and above the valley. They are generally bright white, yellow, or red and can appear both above and below the horizon. Sometimes they move very quickly, while other times they move leisurely throughout the sky. Sometimes they also hover in midair. Unusual lights have been reported in the Hessdalen Valley since the 1930s, especially high activity occurring between 1981 and 1984. During this period, the lights were observed nearly 20 times per week, attracting many overnight tourists. As of 2010, however, the sightings have dwindled greatly, with only a reported 10 to 20 sightings yearly. Since 1983, there have been several UFO groups focused on the area who believe that the lights are of an extraterrestrial origin. It's hard to blame them considering how long they've been going on. It's a mystery that scientists haven't been able to definitively prove what causes them or why they're appearing. Number 7. Spectre of Newby Church. The specter of Newby Church, also known as the Newby Monk, is the name given to a figure found in a photograph taken in the Church of Christ the Consoler on the grounds of Newby Hall in the city of North Yorkshire, UK. The photograph was taken back in 1963 by the Reverend Kenneth F. Lord. The figure seems to resemble a human, and because of this, there's been heavy speculation as to who the person is or why they are there. Most speculation on the image has agreed that the person appears to resemble a 16th century monk with a white shroud over the face.
In some panelled rooms elsewhere in the palace, a large dog lies quietly by a now cold fire.
This was likely to mask leprosy or some other type of disfigurement which was common back in those days. Others have tried to claim that the figure is an accomplice of the Reverend in a costume, but such a thing goes against what the reverends of the time believed. The figure is also remarkably tall, seemingly standing at nearly 9 feet, but because the feet are not visible, it's also possible that they are standing on something. Either way, it's quite a creepy figure to see, especially on the grounds of a church. Number 6. Hampton Court Ghost. The Hampton Court ghost footage is some of the most convincing evidence of a ghost ever recorded, and for good reason. The footage was taken by a CCTV camera taken in October of 2003, where a door was flung open and then a ghostly figure appeared directly in the vision of the camera. If this was in the age of social media, the video would have definitely gone viral. Back in the day that it was taken, the garnered international media attention, as nobody has even come forward to admit that it was some sort of prank. Security guards who worked in the Hampton Court were baffled, as when they went to go and check on the particular spot, they found that there was nothing there. Hopefully more information is eventually found regarding this subject, but until then it remains one of the most integral pieces of evidence ever captured for ghosts being real. Number 5. Babushka Lady. The Babushka Lady is an unidentified woman present during the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy, who may have photographed or filmed events that occurred on that fateful day. She appears to have been holding a camera and was in a location that would have given a perfect view of the terrible event that occurred. If the woman was recording, then the evidence that she owns is likely some of the most important lost media to ever exist from a historical standpoint.
As the car got closer to us, I stepped closer to the
because it could provide a critical point of view on how the president was shot and what happened in the aftermath. The nickname given to this woman arose due to the headscarf she wore, which was similar to scarves worn by elderly Russian women around the same period. She was observed holding a camera and filming different parts of the procession, so it wouldn't be unbelievable that she observed other parts of the event, including the shooting that occurred at the end of it. Hopefully she is found, because any information on that terrible day would be an asset to the U.S. government. Number 4. McMinnville UFO. The McMinnville UFO photographs, also known as the Trent UFO photos, were taken by a farming couple near McMinnville, Oregon in 1950. The couple, named Paul and Evelyn Trent, submitted the photographs to several magazines, and they were eventually printed in Life and in newspapers across the nation. These photos are often considered to be the most famous and most prolific photographs of a UFO, considering how rare photo doctoring was back in the day and how little the Trents seemed to know about any sort of technology.
And they've taken another look at it as recently as 1999.
Many UFO skeptics claim that these photos are simply a hoax and yet provide no explanation to how they exist or how they were printed in the early magazines and newspapers. The story goes that Evelyn Trent was walking back to her farmhouse after feeding her caged rabbits. Before reaching the house, she noticed a slow-moving metallic disc-shaped object heading in her direction. She called for her husband. She observed for a while before coming out with a camera and snapping these famous photos. We're lucky he did it. They're some of the most solid proof of UFOs. Number 3. Tank Man. Tank Man, also known as the Unknown Protester or the Unknown Rebel, is the nickname of an unidentified Chinese man who stood in front of a column of military tanks leaning Tiananmen Square in Beijing the day after the Chinese government's violent crackdown on Tiananmen protests. As the lead tank maneuvered to pass by the man, he repeatedly shifted his position in order to obstruct the tank's attempted path around him. The incident was filmed and later shared to a massive audience that spanned the entire world.
I've never been so scared. Out of all the assignments I've been on, I've never been so scared as this story.
It is considered one of the most iconic images of all time. Within China, the image is subject to censorship. There is no reliable information about this man, who he was, or why he felt so strongly about standing in front of those tanks, but considering the travesty that occurred at Tiananmen Square, it can only be assumed that he's someone with a huge sense of justice. There are several conflicting accounts of what happened to Tank Man after his photograph, but it's generally accepted that he vanished. Some people believe he was executed, and if that was the case, then at least his legacy lives on through his action. Number 2. Black Knight Satellite. The Black Knight satellite is an incredibly strange polar orbital satellite that is currently within the Earth's gravitational pull and reportedly orbits the Earth along with many other satellite bodies. A photo taken during the STS-88 mission showcases the Black Knight satellite, and although NASA has tried to claim that it is a piece of space debris, the shape that it takes on and the way in which it orbits leads many people to believe that their statement is a cover-up.
Rule out the impossible. Whatever remains, as improbable as it is,
Many ufologists believe that the Black Knight satellite was created in order to spy on Earth and humanity in general, and that it has orbited the planet for roughly 13,000 years. In 1954, before any country had the ability to launch a satellite, the object was detected by Donald Keyhoe, and although he informed newspapers, nobody took him seriously. Number 1. Ghost of Freddie Jackson. As perhaps one of the most famous ghost photographs of all time, it makes sense that the ghost of Freddie Jackson tops out this list. Freddie was a soldier in the British Royal Air Force in the First World War, where he served as a mechanic. He maintained combat aircraft aboard the HMS Daedalus. Freddie didn't die in combat like many other famous examples of ghosts. Instead, he died during an accident with a plane propeller, from which he died and was buried. On the day that he was laid to rest, however, his squadron mates assembled for a group photo. Nobody knows noticed anything strange or out of the ordinary until after the photograph was presented to them, and many quickly realized that Freddie was standing among them in the photo. This picture was taken after the man's death, and yet there he was, standing amongst his friends, plain and clear. This is one of the most mysterious examples of ghost evidence to ever be presented, and there is still no explanation for why it occurred. So which of these mysteries do you think is the strangest? Do you think you have the answers to any of the things we've shown to you today? Tell us in the comments below. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe so that we know that you like this kind of content. This allows us to keep making our videos better for you. Tap that bell icon so you're always alerted of new videos, and we'll see you in the next one.